Hello and welcome to Professional Tutors. We are a team of dedicated and qualified teachers whose main aim is to help you reach your full potential.
Hello, good afternoon, or probably good morning, because I've recorded this Monday afternoon. It's a nice sunny afternoon, and the reason I'm out here is because I want to show you a few things, because we're going to be looking at life cycles over the next couple of weeks. And life cycles are a very important thing to study in biology, because it's not only humans, or mammals should I say, that go through life cycles, so do other organisms. And when I say organisms, plants, insects, vertebrates, invertebrate, everything has a life cycle. Now if I can just show you this, the reason I've got this around here is because I don't want it to blow away. Now this, as you can see, is a stunning moth. Now some moths are they're not just brown like you see floating around looking at, going towards the light. Some of them are absolutely incredible, the markings on them, and they're there for a particular reason, whether it's camouflage or whether it's to scare off predators. Now there's one moth in particular that fascinates me, and what it does, I'll just put that back over there so it doesn't blow away. What it does, it on its wingspan, let's say that's its wingspan, it's actually got the face of an owl on its wingspan, like that. Now, why do you think that is? That it's got the face, it's exactly like an owl's face. And why do you think that is? Well, that is because birds eat moths. Now, little insect there, little Drosophila fly, see? Now, if you're going to get a bird come down, like a sparrow, a starling or bird like that, to this moth, and it sees the moth's face, the picture of the face of the owl on its wingspan, it frightens it. So it wards off predators that could potentially eat it. And that's where moths fascinate me. Some people just study entomology, they just study insects. You can go to university for years to study it. Entomology is very interesting. They're unique creatures, unique organisms. Now, it's not only moths that have got a life cycle, like I said, plants have, and I'll talk to that in a minute. But when we go back to the moth, it would have started life out as an egg. Then we've got the hungry caterpillar, great book. So it would have gone from there to there. This is the cycle of it. Then it would have gone to something called a paused state, where it becomes a chrysalis. But when the chrysalis opens out, that's where you get your moth. And that's the same cycle for the butterfly, and it's called a life cycle. Life cycle. Now when we consider us as mammals, I'll show you what I mean. Winnie, come here. Now this, as you know, is a dog, and she's a mammal, just like we are. Now mammals give birth to live young. They're not in an egg, they're not in a seed, like these. They're actually born as live young, given milk by the mother. That's their life cycle. So it goes, in our case, we go from a baby, little tiny baby. Oh, I can draw a baby. There we go. That's a baby. Right. Then your baby. Then the baby's born. So, but before the baby, you have your embryo. Right? So you got your fertilized egg, embryo. That should actually be fetus. Then baby. When it's born, it's a baby. Then independent adult. Independent adult. Now you can also have independent other mammals. They stay with the mother, they stay with the family until they get to a certain age, and then they're off. You see this in the wild with animals. That is another life cycle. So you've got that one there, which is a mammal. Here we have insects. That's just two. They've got completely different lifestyles. well, lifestyles, yes, and also life cycles. Now, when we talk about a plant's also got a unique life cycle, because plants make seeds. Seeds get carried by the wind, they get eaten by birds, which then drop them in various other places, and that's why you'll get plants growing on top of buildings, because the bird's eating the seed and it comes out in the poo of the bird and it starts to grow. Now that then begins a lifestyle. Now here we have the beetroot plant that we're struggling with at the moment, but that would have started life as a seed. I do believe some of you are growing sunflowers at the moment. Now that is its start of its life cycle, so that needs water, just like these do, just like this, they all need water and nutrients for them to be able to develop into the next cycle. Moths need it, birds need it, reptiles need it, amphibians need it. Although they've all got different life cycles, they all need nutrients in the form of water and food. Now you might think, well, what about the food for the plant? You don't have to give it food. What you do have to do is put it in the soil and water it. Once the water goes onto it, it then goes to its next stage and it starts to grow roots into the soil. When the roots go into the soil, that is the network for it to take up water into the plant. Eventually it makes the stem and then the leaves. The leaves are where it makes its own food. It doesn't go to the shop. It makes its own food in the leaves. And that is why plants are so important, because other animals eat the leaves, because the leaves have got sugars in called glucose. So that's part of the life cycle. So they're all dependent on each other. Now a moth and other insects will probably go towards a plant and eat what the plant can offer, like leaves and flowers and things like that, to get the pollen from the flowers, like the bees do, to make honey. So what I'm trying to say is that life cycles, they all depend on each other, and it's called interdependence, and I'll talk to you about that later on. So year 7 topic, that is interdependence. We'll talk about that later. But let's just recap. I've only mentioned insects, mammals and plants. There are others. There's reptiles, there's amphibians. Now on Google Classroom, I've uploaded a presentation for you, and on that presentation it mentions the different life cycles of different organisms, and on one of the slides you'll see a table like that with similarities and differences. What I want you to do is have a look at that, and there's an example, and on the one slide it says similarity and differences between two different organisms. Maybe, let's say for example, birds and insects lay eggs, so the similarities would be they lay eggs. The difference is in a bird has got feathers, insects haven't. Now there's an example of there, and then on the next slide there's a blank one, and it's insects and amphibians, and I want you to put the similarities and the differences by looking at the slides of those two organisms. Simple task. So you look through the presentation, there's an example of similarities and differences between two organisms, and then on the next slide, that one is blank, that table, and it says on there insects and amphibians. I want you to look through the presentation and find what are similar and what are different. It's a nice task this is for you, and the reason I've done this outside is so I can show you all this, and I will see you tomorrow and we'll take it a stage further. Bye.